Don't stay there, y'all. I'm telling you now, do not stay at that hotel. I mean, you can stay at the hotel. I'm not gonna tell you what to do. Hey friends, welcome to my channel. My name is B or Bria or B Leaks, whatever you want to call me. And today, don't mind this stuff in the back. I am also filming a Target haul. But today I'm going to be filming a PCSing story slash things you need to know slash financing. I'm just gonna basically give you all the tea on what it was like PCSing to Hawaii from Fort Bliss, Texas. Now everybody's story is different, but the thing that remains constant in every single video or TikTok that I've watched so far is that a lot of people leave out the finances, like the expenses that you really have to come out of pocket for when you are PCSing. So a lot of things that people misconstrue is that, oh, the Army will pay for it. Yeah, they'll pay for it on the back end, but on the front end, you have to come out of pocket majority of that money. So with that being said, I'm just going to get into this video and basically talk about my experience as it relates to finances, because right now we are in really hard times when it comes to saving money, spending money. Inflation is real. Gas prices are going crazy. I mean, they starting to go down now, but they were going crazy. Like, everything is more expensive in the grocery stores. It's a lot to take in at this moment. And if you are PCSing anytime soon, this is some information that you are for sure going to need to know before you leave your current duty station. So without further ado, let me just go ahead and get straight into the video. This is going to be a two-part video. So if you want to just know more about the finances, head over to part 2, because that's where I'll be talking more about money. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is the process in itself for PCSing. So basically, when we PCS, the first thing that we had to do or go through was this thing called EFMP. I don't know what that stands for, but I know I had to go through the EFMP screening just to make sure that I didn't need any additional help or assistance. So basically people who have asthma or ADHD, mental health, physical health as well, anxiety, things like that, people are enrolled in this program called EFMP. And basically what that does is it just makes you are enrolled in the program to make sure that wherever you're going next, they have the doctors and the specialties that you or your child may need when you get there. So say I had rheumatoid arthritis and we were supposed to be going to Fort Drum. It gets really cold there, so they probably wouldn't have the things necessary for me to actually go to Fort Drum because it's cold. I would probably be my bones would be aching all the time. I would probably be in and out of the hospital all the time. So they just want to make sure that whatever your needs are, that they're met wherever you go next, you or your child. So if you are enrolled in the EFMP program or process, it does take a little longer for your spouse to receive their orders, but I think it's for the greater good. So fortunately, I was not enrolled in the EFMP process, but my process still took a little long just because my profile was flagged. So basically back in last November, I had a cyst on my ovaries that I went to the emergency room for. At the time, I did not know what it was. I just knew I was in a lot of pain. And then that's when they told me that I had a cyst in my ovaries. So they told me that it wasn't anything to really worry about and that it would pretty much go away on its own or rupture. And when it did, I would be fine, whatever, woo-de-woo. So because I went to the emergency room for the cyst, it was flagged in my EFMP profile. And so I had to basically go to the gynecologist for them to tell me that, oh, the cyst is fine or it's no longer there. And then they could basically not enroll me into EFMP. So when I went to the doctor to get my cyst checked in January, because I had to set up an appointment, my appointment wasn't until January. So 2 months later, I went to the doctor to get my cyst checked, and I was pregnant.
I'm pregnant.
So the cyst was no longer a cyst. It probably developed into a baby, who freaking knows, but I was pregnant. So I still wasn't enrolled into EFMP, but I was pregnant, so they had to put that on my paperwork. So that took a little longer as well, just because it went from me having a cyst to me now being pregnant. And so because my pregnancy is not high risk, I'm healthy, the baby's healthy, they went ahead and they like just approved the paperwork, but it took some time to get that paperwork approved. So after the whole EFMP process, that pretty much took the longest. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, my husband had paperwork and stuff that he needed to do on his end, but as it related to me, like I said, I went to the doctor in January to get my cyst checked and to basically like get my EFMP paperwork processed, because we were initially supposed to be leaving in April. So I was getting everything done way in advance, just because I knew how long the Army took when processing paperwork. I wanted to just go ahead and just make sure we had everything together before it got closer time, and then my husband wound up leaving me and I was pregnant. So this happened in January. February, I got a phone call basically saying that they did not receive my paperwork from EFMP, and my husband had turned in the paperwork. So I was like, what? So I'm calling him. So apparently he did turn in the EFMP packet with the doctor saying that I was fine or whatever, but the doctor did not sign a specific sheet of paper basically saying like what kind of doctor I was going to need once I got to the island. Now, that situation with the doctor in itself was a situation that needed to be handled like outside in the parking lot.
Catch me outside, how about that?
But we're not gonna talk about that because it's over. But just know that that doctor gave me a very, very hard time from the time that I went to go see him about the cyst all the way up until him having to sign this paperwork. So basically, I'm just gonna give you a little synopsis. Basically, the doctor was upset because he was not my OBGYN. I requested for a female only OBGYN or midwife. So he was upset at the fact that he did not get to be my particular OBGYN, and that was really what creeped me out. So basically the midwife that I had at Fort Bliss, she basically like cussed him out and told him to sign the paperwork because he was refusing to sign my EFMP paperwork. It was now freaking April, and I had sent that paperwork to him in February and he still didn't sign it. So the doctor, my midwife basically cussed him out and was like, you need to sign this paperwork. You were the one who saw her. I shouldn't have to fill this out. You need to fill it out and stop being a dickhead. So he basically filled it out like that same day, and I was able to go get the packet and turn it into the EFMP office. After I turned in my packet to the EFMP office, then boom, it got sent to Hawaii. But then they said that it was gonna take 45 days to hear back from Hawaii. So, like I said, my husband and I were supposed to be leaving in May. So my husband, being the guy that he is, he did not want to leave me during my pregnancy. So he asked for an extension. He received that extension and it got pushed back to June. So we had an extra month to just make sure everything was put together, and we had sent our paperwork, our EFMP packet to Hawaii in April. So we should have heard back from them in enough time to receive orders, get flight tickets, all that good stuff. So we wound up hearing back from them at the very beginning of May, basically saying that like I got approved for government travel or government sponsorship or whatever. And so my husband was able to go get his orders, and that whole process of like getting the flight ticket using his GTC card. That was a whole situation in itself as well, because when they bought our flights, they only paid for his flight. They didn't pay for my flight. And so I had to wait a week for them to give me my ticket for my flight. And so when they got my ticket for my flight, it was like maybe 3 days before we were supposed to be flying. So I didn't have a seat. So basically I just had to keep checking like the American Airlines app to see if there was a seat available. And I just so happened to get a seat like right behind my husband. Like it wasn't on the same row, but we was like right behind each other. So it worked out. Household goods came and they packed our things. I don't know, it was sometime in May. They came and they packed our things. Now we did not give them, well, we didn't know. First of all, rewind, backtrack. I did not know that we were supposed to like offer the movers food or water or anything. So when they were packing our stuff, they just packed it like, and then they took like an hour lunch and then they came back. But we didn't know that we were like, I didn't know that was a thing until I actually was like I joined the Facebook page and they were like bashing people for not doing it.
You need to leave.
So they came, they packed our stuff up, and we really didn't have to do anything. Like they pretty much did everything for us. We just told them what to take and what not to take, and then everything that we told them to take, they just packed it up and put it on the truck. So that was like the smoothest process out of everything that we had done thus far, was the household goods. So then after household goods, we were able to leave and go to Hawaii. But it took us a couple of weeks, but that's because that's just how my husband scheduled it out. So we flew to Hawaii like 3 or 4 weeks after household goods came and packed our stuff, and we just stayed with my mom and dad who live in Dallas. So that's like 9 hours from El Paso. So we had somewhere to stay. We were actually flying out of Dallas and shipping our cars out of Dallas. So it just made sense to stay with my parents who lived in Dallas so we could save some money. You can use your GTC to pay for your hotel while you're waiting to get on the plane, but you will have to pay that back with the money that they give you. So if you have family, utilize them. If you have friends, utilize them, so then that way you can pocket your money back that you're gonna get, opposed to having to pay that GTC off, because it gets expensive. I'm not even gonna lie. Okay, so now let's talk shipping cars. So when it comes to shipping cars, the military will pay for one car to be shipped. My husband and I have 2 cars. And so it would have made sense for me to sell my car or whatever before we left and just bought a new one here. But my car is paid off and that's my baby, and it didn't sit right with me to just sell it, y'all. Like, I couldn't just do that to my girl. So I decided I was going to pay to get my car shipped to Hawaii. Now, there's 2 different processes when you are shipping your car through the government contracted company and when you're shipping it through just like a privately owned like car shipment company. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is shipping your car through like the government contracted company. So when you are shipping your car through a government contracted company, they're going to be a little bit more stricter on what it is you can and cannot do when you are shipping your car. So for instance, my husband shipped his car through the government, through the military, and they paid for it. So basically, the things that my husband needed were his documents. And so if you go onto the website, they will tell you everything that you need to have, like all the documents you need to have when you go in to actually ship your car on the day that you scheduled it on. So yes, you do have to go in online and schedule an appointment before you go in to try to ship your car. Don't just pull up to the vehicle shipment place and think that your car is gonna get shipped. It might, but you do have to make an appointment. So I would just make that appointment instead of trying to finesse the system. So then after you have set and scheduled your appointment and they tell you what documents you need to make sure that you are there at your appointment on time, 1. And 2, you need to make sure that you have all of your documents there as well. And then lastly, number 3, you need to make sure that your car is clean. Period, point blank. Like, when I say clean, I mean clean as a motherfucking whistle, okay? Like, they need to be able to run their finger on the dashboard and not see not one speck of dust. And I'm gonna tell you why. So when my husband was shipping his car through the vehicle place in Dallas, we had actually took my husband's car to get detailed that morning. As soon as the car wash opened, we took his car to get detailed. As soon as we left the detailing place, we went straight to the vehicle processing center. They were going to push my husband's shipment day back because they said he had grass in his trunk.
The ghetto. The ghetto. The ghetto.
You do what you want with that information. Grass in his trunk, yeah. So, make sure your car is clean, like spiffy, spick and span. They don't check to see if like your engine is like dirty or anything like that. They just want to make sure that the inside of your car is clean and that your gas tank is either on a 1/4 of a mile or 1/8. I mean, 1/4 of a tank or 1/8 of a tank of gas is in your car. So that's roughly, if I have a Honda Civic, so for me, that was roughly about like 90 miles, 80 miles. I think my husband had about 100 miles in his car, so they took that. So those are just like the main things that they really, really worry about. Also, if your spouse or you, whoever's shipping their car has like the car jack and stuff, make sure that there's no hydraulic fluid on that equipment because they will not take it because it is highly flammable. Okay, so if you are shipping your own personal vehicle, not through the government, so this is your second car that you're shipping, then you want to find a good car shipment company that you know is going to be reliable and is going to bring your car back safely. So for me, I went through Paisha, Hawaii, and I spent $2,100 on shipping my car through Paisha. That was the cheapest quote that I had found, especially because I did not live near a port and there was not a port close to me that I could just drive to and drop my car off. But if you live somewhere close to a port, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you go through, like, I'm pretty sure there's more like car shipment companies that are out there closer to you. But for me, Paisha, Hawaii had a car shipment like processing center, like literally 10 minutes from my parents' house. I just drove it there. They checked that I needed my registration. They checked my gas. They made sure my car was clean. They didn't do like a thorough inspection like how they did for my husband. They just made sure it was clean. And I had actually gotten my car detailed as well. So it was like spick and span. And then they took my car and they shipped it. So I would definitely say the process was a lot smoother and a lot more lenient because I was actually coming out of pocket to pay for it and it wasn't like through the military. So if you want to ship your car through Paisha, you definitely can. I think the prices also vary based off of your location. But they have ports like in California, they have them in Texas and other places, so you can check their website. Another company that I was considering going through was like Hawaii Auto Transport or something like that. I wound up not going through them just because Paisha was a lot cheaper, and it was actually more in my price range. And then the Hawaii Auto Transport place, there wasn't like a shipping facility that you took your car to. They actually like came and picked your car up from your house, and I didn't feel like going through that because it was going to be in my parents' neighborhood, and it was just probably going to be a hassle because my parents have HOA and they are very, very like strict. So I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna find somewhere that I can actually just like take my car to and ship it off. And so that's what I did. So Pacia, I love them. I highly, highly, highly recommend that you go through Pacia. And when you get to the island, if you are coming to Hawaii and you're shipping your car from Hawaii and you get to the island, you will see a lot of people ship their cars through Pacia. Like, all you will see are shipment containers that say Pacia Hawaii. I swear to God. So that's something to also think about. They did an excellent job, and I will definitely go through them again when we are shipping our cars back to the mainland after we leave here from home. All right, so now let's talk about when you get to the island. Now, we flew out of Dallas, made it to the island, and we struggled when we got to the airport. The reason why we struggled when we got to the airport was because we had ordered an Uber to take us to the military base. Now, they do have Ubers for military, but nobody was available during the time that we came. So we had to get just like a regular Uber driver. He did not speak English at all. And so there was a language barrier and we were lost. We could not find him, but he was so nice. He waited for us. He was like translating through his phone and texting us so we could like communicate. So I really do appreciate him. So the guy, he brought us to the hotel. We did stay at the inn at Schofield Barracks. Don't stay there, y'all. I'm telling you now, do not stay at that hotel. I mean, you can stay at the hotel. I'm not gonna tell you what to do. I'm not even that type of girl. It's on post, it's close to everything, it's very convenient. So that is the pro of staying at the inn at Schofield. But the cons, they outweigh the pros. And I'm not gonna say the cons because I'm not here to bash them, but I was 6 months pregnant there. I was not comfortable at all. It's cool if you just stand there for a couple of days, like, yeah, it's cool. But we were there for 18 days and that was the worst 18 days of my freaking life. Now, we actually booked our hotel in advance. So we booked the hotel on post 2 weeks or a week before we got to the island. So there was availability, but the availability was very limited because they could only keep us until a certain day. So we stayed from June 7th through I think the 24th, and then we had to go somewhere else. So that was cool because we were able to book it for as long as we possibly could. And like I said, it was very convenient, especially for my husband. Like, he pretty much just walked everywhere. We had a rental car, I'll get into that. But he pretty much just walked everywhere until we got everything situated. And then like there's like a convenience store actually at the hotel, so you don't have to walk to a store. Like, they have like noodles and Hot Pockets and things that you can warm up in the microwave in the hotel room. But I didn't like it. I'm sorry, I didn't like it. And that's just my own personal experience. Like I said, I don't want to be the one to like deter you, because a lot of people, they prefer convenience over like comfortability, and that's fine. But for me, I prefer to be more comfortable than convenient. So this place was very, very convenient. Like, on a scale of 0 to 10 on convenience, I would definitely give it a 20 because it was super convenient.
Okay, y'all, so I had to stop the video right here because it was just getting way too long. Had I just let it keep going, it would have been a 55-minute long video, and who is gonna watch a 1 hour long video? Not me. So if you want to know more about finances, how much money we spent, how much money we had to save up, how much money we got back, then go ahead and click over to part 2, because that's where I will be talking more about money.
Thanks for watching, and I will see y'all in my next video.
time will be frozen forever.